Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Read the first hadith. Did you prepare, Luqman? Did you prepare? Read the first hadith, Luqman. Read loud, loud. Okay. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Remember, we told you before that Ibn Sayyad was a young Jew boy in the time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself did not get any emphatic instructions from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala whether he is Dajjal or not, because there was mixed signals. Nah? I told you there was mixed signals. Because he was a strange person, he was an enigma, and he appeared to be Dajjal, but there was nothing concrete. From the Sahaba Ikram, we told you, Umar ibn Khattab, Abdullah ibn Umar, and as a Jabir, they were emphatic, they were certain that he was Dajjal, right? I told you then the biggest problem or obstacle of saying he is Dajjal is the hadith of Tamim al-Dari, right? Because if he, a young boy, a Jew boy in Medina, was Dajjal, and who was the animal, the creature that as Tamim al-Dari saw in on the island there, right, on the Jazeera, who was he then, right? Although those ulama or those that insist though Ibn Sayyid was Dajjal, they try to explain it away to say that maybe that at that point in time there were two separate entities, they would merge into one entity. Like I told you, the laws, like how you say you only be considered a musafir once you start traveling. Once you don't travel, you're not a musafir. So at this point in time, the zuhur of the Dajjal did not take place yet. Once the time was right, they would merge. And I told you the other explanation was this, that this was from Alamul Misal. Alamul Misal means, I told you, something which is like a reflection of a reality that is going to happen. And I gave you an example also, like, when the Nabi went on Isra and Mi'raj and all that type of thing, and then he saw people being punished, and people say, but how can he be punished before Qiyamah? This is Alamul Misal, right? So that is briefly, if you understood that properly, inshallah, when you look at the hadith, you see it will fit in nicely, right? Look at the first hadith. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. An Abdullah ibn Umar, anna Umar ibn al-Khattab. Directly authority of Abdullah ibn Umar, he says, once Umar ibn al-Khattab, إن طلق مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في رهط من أصحابه. He went with a group of his Sahaba Ikram, قبل ابن السيادين, to Ibn Sayyad. They heard about this strange person, this young Jew, that he's making predictions and he's acting very, very strange. And who is he? قبل ابن السيادين حتى وجدوه يلعب مع الصبيان, until they found him playing with some children. Carry on. Yeah, في أطم بني مغالة. Utum means like there was some high buildings of the Bani Maghala. You checked it, what means? Say again. Loud. Qasr. Maybe some high buildings, some qasr. So they were playing amongst like buildings, etc. في أطم بني مغالة. Right? Carry on. Yeah. وقد قارب ابن الصياد يومئذ الحلمة. What do that mean? He was reaching puberty. He was, like you say in Arabic, it's called a murahiq. A boy that is close to puberty, a girl is close to murahiqa. There's special laws for them. So وقد قارب ابن الصياد يومئذ الحلمة. He reached the age of hulum, which was close to puberty. Right? Carry on. Very good, mashallah. Good translation. So he was not aware until that was like he was not aware until the was right by him and gave him like, oh, sometimes you meet somebody, you give them a plate step. Hey, how's it, my bro? Like that. So that's what he's saying. That's what. فلم يشعر, he did not realize that Nabi was there حتى ضرب رسول الله ظهره بيده. And the Prophet gave him a playful slap on his head. Right? Carry on. أتشهد أني وذا خبر إن أنك أنك رفع. So yeah. أتشهد أني رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Do you bear witness that I am the messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم? Carry on. Right. So Nabi Sallallahu asked him, we want to test who is this guy, what is he about, etc. Do you bear witness that I am the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So he said, no, I bear witness that you are the Prophet of the Ummiyin. Now, it's a very interesting thing here I want to show you. You see, in the time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the Arabs were normally they were so to say uneducated. The Christians, they had a heavenly scripture, the Injil, and they had the scholars, etc. The Yahud, they had the Prophet Musa alayhi salam. They follow the Torah, right? But the Arabs, the last prophet they had was Ibrahim alayhi salam, which was very, very long away. And in between there was, I was also surprised. I always thought it was Ibrahim alayhi salam and then the next was Nabi Sallallahu. But recently I was reading somewhere there was another prophet. I've discussed this with you before that came in between. Remember I discussed this with you. In between Ibrahim alayhi salam and Nabi Sallallahu, there was another prophet that also came. It was not the way of, was the Arab prophet. But generally the Arabs didn't have a prophet for so many thousands of years, for so many. So they were like totally off the path. And even by the Jews and the Christians, they were considered to be totally lost because they lost all track of the original Millat Ibrahim Hanifa. They lost completely for it. So that's why they were referred to by the Jews as Ummi. Ummi means like an uneducated person, a stupid person. That's what I'm saying. So the Jews and the Christians would refer to the Mushrikeen of Arabia as the Ummiyin. That's why Nabi is called Nabiyil Ummi also, right? So now this is interesting. Remember we discussed this, we've done this in Tafsir also a lot of times. The Jews knew Nabi was a prophet. They knew he was a prophet. But they were disappointed when he appears from amongst the Arabs. They thought like all the other prophets would come from the Jews. When Nabi Sallallahu came from the Arabs, they were very, very disappointed, right? So one of the excuses they made, they said, no, he is a prophet only for the unlettered people. He's a prophet for the Ummiyin. He is not a prophet for the Jews and the Christians. So this was just a ploy. What was it? A ploy. It was just a scheme to get away from accepting the prophethood of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Are you with me? So that's why he said, Ashhadu annaka Rasulul Ummiyin. Carry on. Let's read from there. ثم قال ابن السياد تشهد أني رسول الله ورسول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. So look at this. So قال ابن السياد أتشهد أني رسول الله. So he's asking Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do you bear witness? I am the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Prophet grabbed him and he squeezed him. You check this word. You check this. فَرَصَّهُ, what it means? Grabbed and squeezed him, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, until he contracted, he made his body small, right? Carry on. Right? Nabi sallallahu said, Amantu billahi wa burusuli. I believe in Allah and His prophets. Just by the way, this is a separate discussion I want to tell you this year, not part of the sabak, but there's also a discussion here, like how we say, look at me 1 second, we say that part of Iman is that we must believe in the Risalat. In fact, we'll do that, comes in the sabak here. It's like, I have to believe in Tawheed, you have to believe in Risalat also. There's a discussion also, if you look into the books of in Aqidah, that was Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mukallaf of believing in his own Risalat. You understood that? Like how you, me, you, us, we are mukallaf, we are bound to accept the Prophet of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. If we don't accept the Prophet of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we're out of the fold of Islam, right? Not, nowadays you get this called perennialism. Perennialism means these people, they say that all the roads lead to the top of the mountain, or all the rivers flow into the ocean. No matter what religion, you can be Jew, you can be Christian, you can be Hindu, you can be Buddhist, you can be Scientologist, Don't worry, so long as you believe in God, you're going to heaven. This I discussed with him a lot of times. In the deen, in the Allah, in Islam. You have to believe in Islam. You have to believe in one Allah. You have to accept the Prophet Shahid Allah. You have to accept the Prophet to all the Prophets, etc., etc. So we know that's clear that we have to believe in the Prophet of Rasulullah. But the question was, did Nabi Sallallahu have to accept his own Prophet as well? Yes, he had to. And see there, he told Ibn Siyah, there's a proof. In fact, there's a proof to say that Nabi Sallallahu was bound. We say mukallaf when he was bound. He was mukallaf of accepting his own prophethood as well. He was mukallaf of accepting his own. So that's another technical discussion I just threw in for you. So, ya Nabi amantu billahi, right, wa bi rusulihi. Carry on. So remember, Nabi Sallallahu now went to Ibn Sayyad on a fact-finding mission. Like I tell you all the time, Nabi Sallallahu himself was not sure. Allah Ta'ala kept certain things away. And the first hadith we done, Ismail will know that when Jibreel came to Nabi Sallallahu and asked him, Mata sa'a. So you mustn't say, like, the Barelvis, the Barelvis, they feel that if you, Aisha, who you looking, they feel that if you say Nabi Sallallahu didn't know about something, you say they didn't know this, you are disgracing Nabi Sallallahu. They say you are disgracing Nabi Sallallahu. You are making Nabi Sallallahu small. You are belittling Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But it's a fact that Nabi Sallallahu didn't know everything. Only Allah Ta'ala knows everything. Only Allah Ta'ala knows everything. Only Allah Ta'ala knows it. So that I was telling you about the hadith of Jibreel. When Jibreel asked him, Mata sa'a? He said, Mal mas'ulu a'lam bis-sa'il. That the person is being questioned, me, I don't know. I'm not more knowledgeable with regards to that knowledge than you. As much as you are in the dark with regards to that, I'm also in the dark. Only Allah Ta'ala, inna Allah innahu ilmu sa'a wa yunazzilu ghayth wa ya'lamu ma fil arham. So to believe that certain bits of information Nabi Sallam didn't have is not a slight against the character of Nabi Sallam. Are you with me? Just on that note, I'll just tell you something. You see, many years ago, there's a hadith that said, "Utlubul ilm walau bis-sin." You seek knowledge even if you go to China. Now, now that's obviously true. As Muslims, we have to seek knowledge, right? But this hadith is not authentic. This hadith is not authentic. This hadith is not. The words are not proven from the Prophet. So once Mufti Mengi was giving a bayan and he was saying that this hadith is not authentic. This hadith is not authentic. And then he went on. He said that I don't think Nabi even knew where China was. I don't even think Nabi knew where China was. Which may be true, may be true. But when the Bareli was, they went mad. They want to kill him. When he went to Durban and they identified him by Overport City, they ran for him. They wanted to eat him. They wanted to eat him. So, so, so what Mufti Mengi is technically saying may be correct. That maybe, look, firstly, the hadith is not authentic. Firstly, the hadith is not authentic. And secondly, maybe the Muslim didn't know where's China. Possible, right? But they found it very respectful to say the Muslim didn't know where's this. They think, how can you say Muslim didn't know? But the fact of the matter, the tahqiqi discussion, the technical discussion is that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam didn't have absolute knowledge of everything. And that's our aqidah. We, the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, only Allah Ta'ala has absolute knowledge of everything. Yes, this is our belief. Nabi Sallallahu had most knowledge. He had the most, after Allah Ta'ala, he had the most knowledge of all the creation of Allah Ta'ala. Nobody, even more than shaitan, more than everybody else. But he did not have absolute knowledge, not everything. And this is proven. I told you now, Nabi Sallallahu didn't know who's Ibn Sayyad even. In fact, if you look at further in the hadith, I'm going to show you, as we go through the hadith, I'll show you where Nabi Sallallahu also expressed his reservations. He don't know what's Ibn Sayyad. And I told you the hadith, Mal mas'ulu a'lam min as-sa'il, that me, the person is being questioned, I'm not more knowledgeable even with regards to who Ibn Sayyad is, right? So, So this is also one of the aqidah of us, of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, that Allah Nabi Sallam did not have absolute knowledge. Are you with me? Just remember that it will come in more detail, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the books of hadith, right? Yeah, so he says, that's why the ماذا ترى قال يعني صادق وكاذب. Sometimes true information come to me and sometimes false information come to me. Now look at me. This is what Nabi Sallam mentioned here is exactly what happened to these soothsayers. In Arabic, you call him the kahin, like how we say today, this jadoo people, or we say sangomas and all this type of thing. Sometimes they get some true information, shaitan gives them true information, and shaitan gives them false information, and shaitan mixes. Remember the hadith is quite clear. The hadith is quite clear. إِلَّا مَنِ اشْتَرَكَ السَّمْعَ فَأَتْبَعُ شِهَابٌ ثَاقِبٌ. That the jinn used to go to the heavens, they used to hear what is happening, they would bring a bit information, and they would mix it with a lot of lies. Now when you hear, so you go to the Sangoma, he tell you one truth, you are over impressed with him. Oh, this guy, but in the meantime, only one truth came from the heavens and all the others are lies. So this is the this is how you differentiate between a true prophet and the false people, right? So carry on. Ya'tini sadiqun wa kadhibun. The truth come to me, and sometimes false information also come to me. And I tell you that is Sangomas, magicians, all of them. Carry on. Right. So قال Rasulullah, he said, خُلِّتَ عَلَيْكَ الْأَمْرُ. Yeah, the matter is mixed upon you. You can see you are not, you are like a false person. You're not getting true information from Allah Ta'ala. Right. Then قال Rasulullah, okay, now, إِنِّي خَبَأْتُ لَكَ خَبِيئَةً. Verily, I've concealed something for you. In other words, khaba means I've concealed something in my mind for you. I've concealed something in my mind for you. And what I hid something away, right? And then وَخَبَأَ لَهُ يَوْمَ تَأْتِي السَّمَاءُ بِدُخَانٍ مُبِينٍ. Then Nabi Sallam concealed in his mind this verse. يَوْمَ تَأْتِي السَّمَاءُ بِدُخَانٍ مُبِينٍ. That on that day, the sky will bring forth a lot of smoke. He concealed this in his mind. Right? Now you want to see if Ibn Sayyad could pick this up, right? Carry on. So Ibn, like I told you now, they get false information, they get true information. He said, فَقَالَ هُوَ الدُّخُّ. He said, oh, I think the thing you are considering is something about smoke. I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly, right? Carry on. Now, ihsa is like, you know how, from in the Cape, when you say, like how you say, when you say a dog for a dog, putzak, it's actually a derogatory manner of like chasing somebody away from you. The dog, the human, normally if you're like a human, you won't normally say, but derogatory manner, dog, putzak, go away from here. So this is a derogatory manner saying, ihsa, you, you're taking a chance, you get away from here, you are taking a chance, you're not like a authentic person, right? Ihsa, carry on. Right. So this is interesting. This is now important here. So then Nabi Sam said, "Falan ta'dua qadrak." When this haruf illa come in the end, halat nasab, then the wow comes back. Falan ta'dua qadrak. You will never go over the amount which Allah Ta'ala specified for you. Only that much you know. You're not going to know more than that, right? So he said, "Falan ta'dua qadrak." You won't go. قال عمر يا رسول الله أتأذن لي فيه أن أضرب عنقه. As Umar was Jalali, you don't waste time. Even that you do, inshallah, that hadith of Hatim ibn Abi Balta'. You heard about the hadith when he divulged the information to the Meccans that now Nabi Sallam is coming to Makkah. Although he was a Muslim, but he has some other interests why he divulged information. Well, what so, so I was telling you, uh, as Omar said, why waste time, man? Just kill him. Take his head off. Like how the Muslim said, he said that Hatim ibn Abdullah, just kill him. Just give me permission. He said, why is this a problem? Like, you say, like how he said, just finish him off one time. Right? He said, أتأذن لي في أن أضرب عنقه فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, look at what the reason of the Muslim. And I told you, this is proof to show the Muslim was not sure exactly. إن لم يكن هو إن يكن هو لا تسلط عليه. Look here, you have to try, if it is him, يكن هو لا تسلط عليه. If he is the Dajjal, if this Ibn Sayyad is the Dajjal, there's nothing you can do against him, because it is Allah Ta'ala's plan that the Dajjal will emerge, etc., etc., etc. And this is a test of Allah Ta'ala, like how Shaitan is a test. Your nafs in the nafs Ta'ala ammaratun bisui. Your nafs is a test. Shaitan is a test. Right? He's the test of Allah Ta'ala. So if he is the judge, you can't kill him. You're wasting your time. You can't kill him because Allah Ta'ala's plan. Like we done this, you done this several times. He was here. That no Nabi came except that he warned his people about the Dajjal. Like, so it is a part of the grand scheme. It's a part of the grand plan of Allah Ta'ala that the Dajjal will come and he will be a test for this ummah, etc., etc. So you can't. لا تسلط عليه. سلط يسلط. You will not be empowered over him. You can't kill him, right? Carry on. Yeah. So وإن لم يكن فلا خير لك في قتله. But if he is not Dajjal, he's just a normally, like I always say, in our pagal man, like a madman or whatever. He's just a normal pagal man. Then what's the point of killing him? You're killing a person that's not warranted to be killed. You're killing an innocent person. You understood? Right? So فلا خير في قتل. Carry on. Right. Carry on. So after that, another time, what happened? Um, so this was finished now. So Ibn Umar says, another انطلق بعد ذلك رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وأبي بن كعب الأنصاري. Another time Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم and Ubay ibn Ka'b al-Ansari, they went. Ya Ummani Nakhla. What Ya Ummani means? You checked it? They were concealing themselves between the trees التي فيها ابن سياد. The one is Ibn Sayyad. فطفق رسول الله يتقي بجذوع النخل. Nabi Isa wanted to hide behind the جذوع النخل, the leaves of the thing, right? وهو يختل أن يسمع من Ibn Sayyad. He was close to here. He wanted to see. He wanted to observe Ibn Sayyad without him knowing he's observing him. You understand what I'm saying? Right? You check the word. وهو يختل. What it means? اختل يختل. Huh? To observe here what he's saying, right? Right? وهو يختل اختل يختل. Right? أيسمع من ابن سيد شان قبل أن يراه. So you know, when a person knows you're observing, he behaves differently. And when you know nobody's observing, he behaves. Nobody wants to observe him without him knowing he's observing him, right? قبل أن يراه ابن سياد. Right? وابن سياد مضطجعا على فراشه في قطيفة له. He was laying, he was resting on his bed. قطيفة له means ها لا في قطيفة له, in a sheet or something. فيها زمزمة. Right? He was he was resting like in a hammock or in a sheet, right? And at that time, فيها زمزمة. Okay, leave it now. There was a sound, a buzzing sound coming from him. Urdu says bunbunahat, right? Bunbunahat. There was a buzzing sound coming from him, right? فرأت ابن سياد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. But unfortunately, the mother of Ibn Sayyad saw Nabi Sallallahu said, and he said, وهو يتقي, whilst he was hiding بجذوع النخل, behind the date palms. وقالت أي صاف. And so the mother said, أي صاف. I think his name was Saf, right? واسمه, it was his name. هذا محمد. Then, yeah, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is here. He wants to see what you're doing, right? Fatanaha ibn Sayyadin. And then Ibn Sayyad, what he done? Tanaha, he either way or he desisted from doing what he wanted to do. The Tanaha, he desisted. He stopped his buzzing sound. He stopped his buzzing sound. That means they right. But Tanaha, um, فتناهى ابن سياد قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لو تركته بينها. So the says, look, if his mother left him, if his mother never uncovered the plot, we would be able to observe him silently, and we would know what is he. Is he just a mad person, or is he just a fitna? Is he a test, or is he Dajjal, whatever? So I told you there, Nabi Sallam is himself saying that the matter was unclear. لو تركته بينها. قال عبد الله ibn Umar, Abdullah said, then قام رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في الناس. Once he stood up, whenever you get a word قام, it means like, giving khutbah, lecturing the people, right? فأثنى على الله بما أهله. He praised Allah Ta'ala like how it was appropriate to praise him. ثم ذكر الدجال. He mentioned Dajjal. فقال إني أنذركموه. I warn you, I'm warning you that there's a great case going to come, Dajjal. وما من نبي إلا قد أنذر قومه. And there's no Nabi except that he warned his people. لقد أنذر نوح قومه. That Nuh alayhi salam also warned his people. ولكني سأقول لكم, but I'm going to give you some additional information where it becomes clear to you. ولكني سأقول لكم فيه قولا لم يقله نبي. But I'm going to give you such a statement that nobody said a similar statement. No Nabi said such a statement to his people, right? Right? لقوم تعلمون أنه, know that أنه أعور, that Dajjal will have the human form and his one eye will be defective, right? وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ لَيْسَ بِأَعْوَرٍ, and Allah Ta'ala does not have a defective eye. So your Allah Ta'ala is not a human with a defective eye. When Dajjal come, he will come in the form of a human with a defective form. But Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is not a human. He doesn't have any human-like qualities. So Allah Ta'ala is above that. Allah Ta'ala is free of space. Allah Ta'ala is free of time, etc., etc., right? Okay, so that was the first hadith with which I told you that uh, 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 um, shows, gives the information that he was an enigma. It was not clear what he was. That Utum, I told you, is Jama of Atam, which means high place, high buildings. Bani Maghalata was a tribe in the time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So they had maybe some castles. Now, normally, if you look, it was the Jews that had huge buildings, castles, etc. That farassahu, to grab and squeeze, right? Rafada means to leave something. Remember, we said farafada an hadha, the one who opposes something. Remember, we done it also in Al Arabiya bayna yadayk. يوم تأتي السماء بدخان مبين. I thought it was the verse that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, concealed in his heart to see if this person had any powers to uncover, etc. Zamzamatun, I told you, refers to like a buzzing sound. Okay, so that was quite a lengthy hadith. We'll stop there on that hadith now, and then we'll continue, inshallah, with the tafsir ibn Kathir from where we stopped yesterday. We can take out the tafsir books, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We done the last verse فتولى عنهم وقال يا قوم لقد أبلغتكم رسالة ربي ونصحت لكم ولكن لا تحبون الناصحين. Just to briefly encapsulate what happened there so far is this was as Salih alayhi salam and his people, the Samud, when they refused to accept the message, then they were destroyed, and then we gave all the details. Remember, we were discussing thus far, we were discussing all the prophets, how the people rejected them, and as a result of their rejection, they were destroyed. And the whole idea was that as a warning to the Quraysh that look, uh, if you do not accept the message of your prophet, then you will also be destroyed. So we started off with Adam alayhi salam, he came to the dunya, and then the degeneration, and then the different prophets, Nuh alayhi salam, Salih alayhi salam, and Hud alayhi salam, etc. That's why we discussed. The fourth prophet we discussed is it Lut alayhi salam. So the idea for that was as a warning for the people who refuse to accept the message, right? That look, if you don't accept the message, you're going to be destroyed. That's the first thing. And also the idea of Allah Ta'ala mentioning all of these things also was uh, for some guidelines for the Nabi of Allah Ta'ala. That obviously Nabi Sallallahu would become very, very disappointed when they would not accept the message. The Nabi of Allah Ta'ala would become very disappointed when they would not accept the message. So it was a guideline. Look, do not become disappointed. Many prophets had come before. People did not accept the message. And for you also, as an alim that will go out, you will work in your communities, etc. You will work in your community. Won't accept what you are saying. They will reject what you are saying. Then you have to draw inspiration from the prophets that no matter what happened, they continue doing their work. They did not become disillusioned. They did not give up. They just done their work, and when the punishment came, as we discussed here, then they retreated to the mountains, right? So there are many guidelines. We have already passed that, and as we go through, inshallah, we'll discuss the next. Read the next verse and translate, inshallah. Walutan, a'udhu billah. Right, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So this is the famous one of Lut alayhi salam, maybe very relevant also today with all the LGBTQ, because this is our main proof against that, right? That's why we told you, I discussed yesterday in the Aqidah period, we told you if somebody himself is guilty of these LGBTQ things, but they say we know it is haram, they don't come out of the fold of Islam. But if somebody says we do not accept this, like if a person is born like this, it's supposed to be permissible. Why is it haram? Then such a person comes out of the fold of Islam because we did ma'lam yastahillah. Remember? We done it ma'lam yastahillah until you not consider it permissible. Anyway, so a very, very relevant what you call it, a verse we're going to do, especially in light of the LGBTQ thing that is coming. So our point of reference from the Quran, and people tell you from the Quran, where is it haram? where is same-sex marriage haram, or where is same-sex union haram, etc., then this is our main verse of reference, our main point of reference. Are you with me? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولوطا إذ قال لقومه أتأتون الفاحشة ما سبقكم بها من أحد من العالمين. اذكر, remember Lut عليه السلام, إذ قال لقومه, when he said to his people, أتأتون الفاحشة, do you come to such evil, ما سبقكم بها من أحد من العالمين, that none preceded you بها, with it, in this evil, من أحد من العالمين, from anyone from amongst the people of the world. So, I was telling you, out of the continuing series of stories, we've done all these stories here, right? Right, all the stories. The next story we're going to do is the story of Sayyidina Lut alayhi salam. Interesting. Lut alayhi salam is the nephew of Sayyidina Ibrahim Khalilullah. So you see, let's follow nicely now. We discussed Ismail now. There was Adam alayhi salam, there was Nuh alayhi salam, then there were other prophets in between, but there's a major one. Then it was Hud alayhi salam, there was Salih alayhi salam, and then now we're discussing Lut alayhi salam. Let me show you, Ibrahim alayhi salam came in between. Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he was the nephew of Ibrahim, says Lut alayhi salam. You understood? So Sayyidina Lut alayhi salam is a nephew of Sayyidina Ibrahim Khalilullah, the patriarch of the prophets. Most of the prophets come from Ibrahim alayhi salam. The original homeland of both was known as Babil, near Basra in western Iraq. Interesting point that the homeland of Ibrahim alayhi salam and Nuh alayhi salam was called Babil. Comes the Quran, Bibabila Harut wa Marut, right? Right. And interesting thing is, this is near Basra in western Iraq. Modern day western Iraq, one day we go visit there. Until America bombed Iraq, it was one of the most beautiful countries to visit in the world. Until America started bombing Iraq, it was one of the most beautiful. But after America bombed it, finished. Right. So now here in Iraq, idol worship was very, very common. There, in we'll do all these verses about Ibrahim alayhi salam. We said, "Lima ta'budu ma la yasna wa la." Yeah, my father, why do you worship things that can't hear, can't see, etc.? All that, remember, it was very, very common. Even the family of Sayyidina Ibrahim was involved in it. So the family of Ibrahim alayhi salam was also steeped in idol worship, right? Even the right. Allah Ta'ala sent Sayyidina Ibrahim as a prophet for the guidance. So you see, the prophet comes to a community to guide them. Same when an alim, you graduate, when you finish graduate, alim, alima, apa, whatever, you will go to your community. You have to draw your inspiration from the Anbiya alayhimu salatu wa taslim. The same adab and the same etiquette that they use and employed, the same patience and the perseverance they used, the same test they went through, you will go through the same thing. You will go through the same thing. His people opposed him, which culminated in the well-known fire of Namrud. Even his father threatened to turn him out of his home. Out of his entire family, only his wife, Sayyidina Sarah, and his nephew, Sayyidina Lut, alayhi salam, embraced Islam. See, so that what it shows you here, as an alim, when you come to a community, people might not be very warm and receptive to you initially. They say, who's this? It's not Khat Laiti. He grew up in front of us. Now he want to come and tell us what is long or what is right. I used to change his nappy, this guy. I used to change his nappy. I used to give him sweeties. Now you want to come tell me what I'm doing is haram. And this. So you obviously, you won't be loud and boastful. You'll be soft, etc. And you will persevere, irrespective of who follows you or not. So out of the entire family, only his wife, Sayyidina Sarah, and nephew, Sayyidina Lut, accept Islam. The Allah says, فَآمَنَ لَهُ Lut. Finally, it was these two that he immigrated to. Finally, it was these two that he immigrated to Syria, leaving his home and country behind. So that Nabina Ibrahim alayhi salam, Lut alayhi salam, and his wife Sarah, nobody wanted to accept the message. Just with the two of them, he migrated and he went to Syria. But after reaching Jordan River, he settled in Canaan near Baitul Maqdis. After reaching Jordan River, he settled. So today also they speak about, they speak about Palestine will be free from the River Jordan till the sea. Palestine will be free. So I think it's the same place. They speak in the Jordan River. He settled in Canaan, this place called Canaan near Baitul Maqdis. Then Allah Ta'ala made Sayyidina Lut alayhi salam to a prophet. Allah Ta'ala appointed a prophet and sent him to Sadum near Baitul Maqdis for the guidance of the people there. So he was like how you will get commissioned. You finish your study, you're going to go to America, you're going to go to Australia, you're going to go to Salt Lake, you're going to go to Bush there, you're going to go to Lapland, you're going to go there. It's like that. You get what you say. What's the right? It's a nice word. Which you say when you get sent to you get commissioned to go to a certain place. So interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. After he received the mantle of prophethood, he was commissioned to go to a place called Sadum. And unfortunately, the people of Sadum had an illness of sodomy, right? So they were called Sadum, right? Sadum, Amura, Adama. This is the different name for these people. They were called Sadum, Amura, Adma, Subumim, Bali, Sakhwar, right? So the Quran has referred to the nucleus as Muttafika. Muttafika at several places. Sadum was considered as the center and the capital. Several cities, but Sadum was the main capital, right? It was here the site that Lut alayhi stayed. The land was interesting. It was a fertile land. You remember the Sham, Syria, is very, very beautiful lands. That is why it was always fought over. Prior to Islam, the Persians and the Romans, they fought over it. Prior to Islam, the Persians and after the Muslims came, they conquered it. Today, even they're still fighting for it. Today, they're fighting for it. The Shias wanted, the Sunnis wanted, the Jews wanted. Very, very beautiful land, the Sham, right? The land was fertile and verdant, abandoning all kinds of grains and fruits. These hadiths appear in the Kitab Bahrul Muhit. Man's habit, as Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, is Kalla innal insana la yadgha ar-ra'ahu istaghna. When man becomes strong, when he becomes affluent, when he becomes rich, and the right thing is he's supposed to turn more towards Allah Ta'ala. What is he supposed to do? He's supposed to turn more towards Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. But unfortunately, man, what he does, the more he becomes rich, the more he has more resources, the more he rebels against Allah Ta'ala. When a man has extra money in his pocket, when a man has extra money, any man, when he has extra money in his pocket, what's the first thing he think about getting another wife? If he's pious, he'll think about getting another wife. If he's not pious, he'll think about getting a mistress. There's the first thing his mind go to when a man has extra money in his pocket. When he has more money than it. But if he's battling, if a man is battling just to provide for his family, to put enough on the table, his mind will never go to another woman. His mind will never go to another woman. But when he got extra money, if he's pious, he'll say, okay, make it halal, he will make it halal nikah. But he's not pious, he will make a haram mistress. So that is the nature of man. The moment he becomes affluent, he has extra resources, then he wants to rebel, he wants to transgress against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah ta'ala had blessed these people with beautiful, fertile lands, etc. So on these people, to Allah Ta'ala had opened the doors of his blessings, right? Coded by this common behavior pattern. I tell you, the common behavior, all soaked in wealth and possessions, they reached the furthest end of luxury and lust when they stood deprived of the most essential human sense of honor, dignity, and modesty, and lost in that process the very ability to distinguish between good and bad. In consequences, they got themselves involved in acts of unnatural indecencies. These are abominable acts apart from being haram and sinful, acts which cause hatred and distaste in the heart and mind of everyone born with sound and decent taste, so much so that even the animals do not go near to it. So you see, there's something called humanism. Humanism means that you must do whatever you want to in this world so long as you don't harm anybody. You can do anything, you can eat anything, you can do, so you mustn't harm anybody. You can do anything to anybody without harming them. Right? But you see, Islam has shown us that this nafs is a very wayward thing. You have to put a boundary. If you don't put a boundary, it will go from one depravity to the next depravity. Inna nafsa la ammaratum bisu'i. So Islam has put certain boundaries. And so long as you remain within that boundaries, you are safe. But when you go beyond that boundaries, there's no limit. That is why I was telling you last year, I was reading the article, they say in somewhere in South America, it is permissible to do the actual deed in public so long as you do not inconvenience somebody. And this of the hadith, we done this hadith, we done it last year. There's a clear hadith that says that from amongst the signs of Qiyamah is that people will copulate in public like how donkeys copulate in public. They will procreate in public like how donkeys procreate in public. So they say you can do whatever you want to so long as you're not harm. So you can even do with the animal, you can get married to an animal, whatever, so long as you do not harm anybody. As long as you do not harm anybody. But Islam has said no, man's nature is such that he goes from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. So there must be breaks. And when you stay within that, you will be safe. So if there's no breaks, you'll end up doing funny things like how we say the people of Lut alayhi salam had done. So Allah Ta'ala, and I tell you, one of the main reasons is this: when there's opulence and there's affluence, then man's mind goes to disobeying Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala appointed Sayyidina Lut alayhi salam for the guidance. He addressed his people and said, أَتَأْتُونَ الْفَاحِشَةَ مَا سَبَقَكُمْ بِهَا مِنْ أَحَدٍ مِنَ الْعَالَمِينَ. Do you commit such evil acts that nobody before you even done it? When referring to zina, adultery, the Quran referred, إِنَّهُ كَانَ فَاحِشَةً. Fahisha means something which is shameful, something which is, here the word fahisha, shameful act, has been mentioned without alif lam, while in the present verse by saying al-fahisha, it has been made a definite by addition of alif lam. Thus the hint given is that this unnatural act, evil act, as if the combination of all indecencies and far a grave sign compared to zina. So interesting here, when Allah Ta'ala referred to zina, referred to as fahisha, an evil act. But when Allah Ta'ala referred to this act of homosexuality, Allah Ta'ala said al-fahisha. And you know, you've done this alif lam is for istighraq. When you get alif lam, it means refer to the entire genes. So this act of homosexuality is such an evil, as though it is a conglomeration of all the evils put together. It is though it's a conglomeration of all the evils put together. Right? That's right. Al-fahisha, not just fahisha. Thus it was said when the shameful act has never been committed by anyone in the world before they did it. So this shows you that this was such an act that that nobody preceded them. They were the initiators of this. Remember, they say, Man sanna sunnatan hasana فَلَوْ أَجْرُ مِثْلِهَا وَمَنْ سَنَّ سُنَّةً سَيِّئَةً فَلَوْ أَجْرُ مِثْلِهَا. That person who starts an evil act, then he will get the reward of all those who follow. That person who starts a good act, he will get the reward of all the people who follow. So these were the forerunners of this evil act. And we can see that children has now reared their ugly heads today. And this is being promoted with a vengeance, is being promoted with a force. So we're saying, then it was said that the same act has never been committed by anyone in the world before they did. Amr ibn Dinar said the act was unknown to the world before these people. Before the people of Lut alayhi salam came, nobody knew about this. Right? Neither had the words of human mind ever taught on this lines before the people of Sadum. The Umayyad Khalifa Abdul Malik ibn Marwan said, had this event relating to the people of Lut have not been mentioned in the Quran, I would never suspected that a woman was capable of doing something like this. He's saying that if this wasn't in the Quran, I would never believe that people can, as a whole community, can revert to such an evil act. Here, the immodesty has been censured on two grounds. One, it so happens that men would get involved in medicines because of their social conditions or because of a blind following of their sisters, though that too is not a valid legal excuse in the Sharia of Islam. But as a matter of custom and practice, such a person could be taken as excusable in some or the other degree. When it comes to a sin that has never been committed by anyone before, nor does it have any particular compulsion of his own, it becomes the curse of the highest degree. Interesting point I'm making here. He's saying, look here, sometimes when somebody does something wrong, but he's following somebody, like for example, before you came here, somebody used to do something, right? And so you can always say, no, but I saw the other people doing it, so I'm also doing it. It's not a valid excuse for doing wrong, but to a certain degree it's understandable. But you came here and you started a complete new thing. But where you come with this thing is a total new thing. It means you got a really warped and depraved mind. You're not following anybody else, you're following your depraved mind. So this act is worse in the sense that what? That it is something which doesn't have a precedent. If a new student came to the madrasa, they came with a completely new thing. You say, but this, you say, but where you come with this thing, man? Why is you following the other people? So the fact that you're coming with a complete new indecency makes it all the worse. Yes, following somebody doing something wrong, that's wrong. 100% wrong. But coming with a new thing created is even worse than that. You understood that? So that is why this thing was so bad. The other ground is that this act becomes a challenge when others equally occurs. Think of a person who invents some evil act or custom as obvious. The sin and punishment of these evil acts falls on that person anyway. But along with him, affected all are those who sink in, led by the act of the originator right through the last day. For the curse and punishment of all those so affected also slips on the shoulders. So because these people that originated, they were the forerunners of the sin, it made it even worse. It made it even worse. Okay, time is up now. Azim is there. We'll stop there. So what we're going to do is the same link we're going to use here, inshallah. We won't break this link. The same link. We will use it for the Mishkaat, inshallah.